Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in the world. Thank you for joining us today for our Siemens Global webinar. My name is Joy Vistaros, and I'm going to be your webinar host for the day, coming to you from Houston, Texas, here in the United States. Our topic for today is Best PDM for Solidworks Design Productivity. I would love to welcome today's speaker. We have with us today Mr. Jamie Wilkins. Jamie is currently a Team Center Marketing Manager with over 25 years of experience with MCAD and product lifecycle management tools. Over the last 20 years with Siemens, he has held many roles in professional services, education services, and pre-sales solution consulting, assisting customers across multiple industries throughout the world with the use and success of Siemens solutions to solve their business challenges. Welcome to you, Jamie. We're very happy to have you with us today.
All right, thanks. Like Joy said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at in the world. Welcome to the presentation. So I'm here to talk about how you're managing your SolidWorks designs and other product today, but then show you why Team Center Product Data Management, or PDM as you typically call it, may be a better fit for your SolidWorks design team. So let's go get started. And as Joy mentioned, if you have questions, please submit them with the chat window. We'll have time for some questions at the end of the presentation. All right, it's about time. It's about the time that your SolidWorks design team wastes today searching for and recreating product designs and data, and the time that you spend on interruptions from other people across your business who might need access to those designs and data. So it's about time, but it's about getting that time back. And so according to a Tech Clarity survey, over 2,000 manufacturers, the best-in-class manufacturers spend 25% less time on non-productive data management tasks. Well, let's look at some of those top time wasters that you're facing on a daily basis. So in that research that Tech Clarity did, they identified these time wasters, and we'll go through 5 of them, and contrasted them to some of the best practices of top performers. So let's start with the first one. Can't find and reuse data. And so you've probably had this happen to you, and it's very frustrating to waste time looking for a design that you know someone somewhere created, but eventually just give up and start from scratch. And obviously when you have to create new part numbers, all the costs and time and so forth that goes into that becomes very expensive. Well, top performers, they're 2.7 times as likely to be very effective at finding the data that they need. Let's look at the second one, lost CAD designs. So sometimes you can't find that design because it just isn't there. So it's really lost. And that may be because it was saved on a local drive or a file server, or somebody just deleted it. Somebody deleted it, now you go to open up that bill of material and that part isn't there, that component isn't there. Well, top performers, once again, they're more likely, 37% more likely to use design data management to store and archive their designs. The third one, preparing data for others. So how many times you've been interrupted by people asking for a design, or where can I find that design? And how often do you have to pull a design from SolidWorks to share with that person? And that's just within your business. What about with customers or suppliers? So how are you sharing your data with them? Well, once again, top performers, 68% more likely to use design data management to collaborate with third parties, and that obviously includes suppliers or customers. Look at the fourth one, managing complexity. As you know, and you've probably seen this in your business and your industry, products are becoming more complex. And so with mechanical and electronic and electrical and even software components that make up that overall design. And that likewise, SolidWorks designs are also becoming more complex. So it can take more revisions to accommodate all those requirements and those specs that you have to meet for your design over a period of time throughout its life cycle. So how are you keeping track of those revisions to be sure you're pulling the correct file, the latest file? Once again, top performers, 23% more likely to use design data management to manage those revisions. And then the fifth one, managing change. So whenever your SolidWorks design changes, so whether it's an issue that came from engineering or maybe manufacturing or a supplier or a customer, you got to respond to that. And a lot of times it's with a new revision. So we'll go from Rev B to Rev C, or maybe even replace this part with a brand new part. So how are you managing that process of change? Is it automated to include everyone that has visibility into it, and that way they can sign off on the change? Once again, top performers, 26% more likely to use design data management for engineering change control. So, all right, so we spent a few minutes talking about those time wasters and how you may be wasting your time. Well, now let's go to the other side and consider what you're using right now for design data management. So if you're like companies, you may be using file servers and desktops, maybe thumb drives and FTP and all sorts of different methods to manage your SolidWorks data. And this is proven by a recent SolidWorks survey called How PDM Can Buy You More Design Time. Well, and about those same number of companies have either one or even multiple PDM systems. And multiple PDM systems are also a roadblock to managing data better. Which system do you need to go to for this information? Which system do you have to go to for that information? How do you work together? How do you find information in each system? Of course, you have to learn those systems as well. And in addition, files are likely in that native CAD tool format, which makes it not as easily accessible to anybody except someone with access to the CAD tool. So they need access to the CAD system, they need a license, and they obviously have to know how to use it. Well, it's time to consider what it takes to get to a single integrated PDM system for design data management. Now, some of the benefits of a PDM. So in essence, the business of PDMs changed a lot over the last few years. So with a shift to redefine PDM beyond just CAD data management into including capabilities to be more integrated and interoperative, whether it's just across multiple CAD systems or integrating more components of design like electrical or electronic and software. And so that single PDM system can be at the center of your business, which is going to help everyone keep track of every bit of information that helps to define and describe your product throughout its development, throughout its life cycle. Well, when you look at the chart here on the screen, if you look at the difference between companies that use a single PDM system and other companies, from improvements in design reuse or reduced development time, less time wasted, these are some of the type of improvements you're going to get with that single PDM system. But with a lot of PDM systems on the market today, I'm sure you're sitting there wondering, which one is the best for you as a SolidWorks designer? Well, I'm going to show you why Teamcenter is that best PDM for SolidWorks designers and what makes Teamcenter better than those other solutions out there in the market for your SolidWorks design team. All right, let's talk about Teamcenter and the benefits that it provides to SolidWorks designers. We're first going to look at 4 different sections, and these will further help you see how it's that best choice for managing your SolidWorks data. So we'll talk about each of these topics from integrated changes to managing your configurations, easily managing the BOM and finding and sharing the data. And you'll see how we can do that all without leaving the SolidWorks interface. And I'll also show a demo along the way so you can see it in action. And what we've done is we actually have split the demo up into each of these 4 sections. So what we'll do is we'll talk about one of these sections, some of the benefits it provides, and then you'll get to see that in action with a demo. Well, earlier when you saw that those top 5 time wasters, managing change was one of those key elements. Well, with SolidWorks, an integrated change process often entails nothing more than just taking your current process managed with Word and Excel and securing that document within PDM. Now, with that obviously comes extra check-in and check-out tasks, and it's a cumbersome process to attach reference documents as CAD or specifications, and even if you use markups or comments. So those SolidWorks markups and comments are not easily seen as part of that change process, or the assigned tasks for the users, or they're managed in a separate interface, which not only leads to confusion, but also potentially some lost work. Well, with Teamcenter comes equipped with some ready-to-use and configurable change process templates, which means any organization can benefit from it, and benefit from it quickly, very rapidly. Now, the Teamcenter change process interface within SolidWorks is going to give you that access right from inside SolidWorks. You're not going to have to leave the UI. So those assigned tasks, to the reference data and the files involved in the change, any types of markups and change comments, and you'll be able to open up that data directly from the change. So right from inside SolidWorks using Teamcenter, you can directly open up that assembly and start making the necessary changes. You can create additional markups, you can create some comments, and then ultimately you can then complete and that task and let everybody know, hey, I'm done with this change. And like I said, do that with without ever leaving SolidWorks. So let's take a look at this in action. So from this demo, here your user inside SolidWorks. So as you can see, SolidWorks is running. Over on the right-hand side is Team Center. And Team Center is a web-based type application, but it's not just a web browser running inside SolidWorks. It's a direct interaction, or a direct integration, I could say. And that integration allows interaction between the two. So as you do something in SolidWorks and save the Team Center, you can view that inside Team Center. As you view data in Team Center, you can easily open that up inside SolidWorks, and you'll see that as we go through. So, all right, so as a user, you've been assigned a task, and so you have an inbox, so you can easily view all those tasks and take the appropriate action. And when you open up that task, there'll be instructions for how to complete the task, and obviously the ability to let people know that you've completed that task. In this case, it's a change. And so with this change, you have all the information that you need related to the change. So it's right here at your fingertips to not only understand what the change is, but then to take action against it. So you can see there's a nice graphical markup that gives you an idea a little bit about it. We also have the ability to capture information. So a lot of customers use a request process, a change request process, and that allows them to propose what it is they want to do. Here's some things we found, here's what we need to do about it, here's the cost or timing, whatever it need to be, that you can come through and collect. And then when you go down to the change notice, you can say, here's what we're going to do about that problem. So we have the ability for you to come through and collect that information on the change so everybody can see and understand what that is. And then ultimately, the engineering order tab shows you the data that's involved in it. And you'll see this build up as we go through, where there's different sections of data to collect the information related to the change. So what parts did you revise? What parts are we no longer using that we're obsoleting? What about any kind of reference data, the data that's involved in the change? Or maybe there's a new part that you created. So as you go through and make this change, you can document that change along the way. So anybody who needs to review this can easily understand, here's what you did. Oh, you revised this, you made a new part for this. It's easily understandable. And that's not only for just the review process now, but what about 6 months from now? When somebody has to go back and look, well, how did we get from Rev A to Rev B? Why did we do this? And so you'll have all that information right there at your fingertips to easily understand exactly what was done. So that traceability is there forever. All right, well, let's look at another section related to why Team Center for SolidWorks. Well, with SolidWorks, your configurator may rely on design tables and Excel files to manage those part variations. But do you need those variations to be revision managed individually? Or do you need to be able to retrieve and view your SolidWorks data beyond just that typical as saved or latest version state to open it up? So what if you want to see what it looked like last week or 2 years ago, or maybe on a particular date and time? How do you do that? And so ultimately the question is, would you like more control over your local working documents, so more control over where they're stored? Well, with Team Center, you can easily retrieve your assemblies from any work in process state. And that's true even for a release date as well. Any work in process state and any release date, you tell Team Center how you want to see it, it'll show you what that assembly looks like. And that's going to give you that true understanding of your product throughout its life cycle. As you can easily control and manage your working directories, so where the data will be stored and where you're opening from with Team Center, just like some of those time-saving and assembly management options you already do today with SolidWorks. So we're not taking stuff away from you. We're just making it a lot easier, making your job more efficient for you. All right, so let's pick up with that change. So now as a designer, you have that impacted assembly, and right within inside Team Center, you can open up that assembly and see what it looks like. So you don't even need to open up the CAD data inside SolidWorks yet. And this will show you that particular bill of material. And that bill of material, you can interact with it. So it's a typical tree structure. You can collapse and expand. We also give you a visualization capabilities using something called the JT file, CAD neutral format. So that I would even have access to the CAD system or understand what CAD system it came from, which in this case is SolidWorks. We can visualize, or you can visualize that and see what this particular drill looks like. Now, for the purpose of this demo, some things to key off of, and so the mouse cursor will move over it. There's a little toggle switch on a drill. Maybe you've seen a drill where you can set it to forward or reverse. A little toggle switch you push back and forth. So just for the purpose of the demo, notice that that's in gray. And although the mouse points to the drill chuck, you look at this kind of this torque ring. Sometimes you can set the different torque values, like if you put different types of fasteners. Pay attention to that. So for now, what? It's a gray toggle and like a dark grayish colored torque ring. Well, that's the way you loaded the assembly with all the latest working components. But once again, with Team Center, you can easily just say, no, I need to see it differently. So in this case, you want to see it with all the status components. And so as soon as you do that, and the mouse cursor is covering it, but you can see that that toggle switch is now turned to red. And we did that obviously so you can visually see it, but that's how you know it's a different component that's in there. And now this torque ring is a different style torque ring. So very easy to come through dynamically, tell Team Center, here's how I want to view the assembly, and it'll show it to you that way. Now, from this point forward, when this is the configuration you want to open up inside SolidWorks, there's an icon right inside Team Center that basically says Open in SolidWorks. You'll get a window that says, here's the data it's going to open up. In this case, it's that drill assembly and the related drawing. You can use your options to set for a lightweight mode from performance standpoint. You even come through and create workspaces similar to how you're doing with SolidWorks today. So you get all those common solid performance features that you're used to, even though you're using Team Center. And so now when that data opens up, the exact way you configured it inside Team Center, in essence, the way you told it to open, is the way it opens inside SolidWorks. So you have full control over how you want to open up that information. All right, let's move on to another topic, bill of material management. So with SolidWorks, you can really only view the mechanical CAD BOM in your PDM client. And from a search standpoint, you may be able to search and drag and drop some CAD parts, but the search isn't as fluid as what you'll see with Team Center. And then what about if you want to add some non-CAD items? So whether it be grease or paint or adhesives or other types of lubricants, how do you add those to the BOM? A lot of times that's challenging. And what we typically see users doing is they just put a part in SolidWorks, but they just don't add any geometry to it. So it's in essence a blank, no geometry part. Well, what about for name BOMs? Name BOMs, you can generate those via Windows Explorer. But keeping that name BOM connected to your CAD BOM, once again, can be difficult and cumbersome. And perhaps that's why we see Excel is still a common BOM method of choice for SolidWorks design teams today, even though there's no connection to CAD. So you're disassociating that from CAD once again. And that's, once again, just dual data management, multiple things to manage, and so forth. Well, instead of those multiple interfaces and files, with Team Center, you can view and manipulate that bill of material right inside SolidWorks. So since we bring Team Center right inside SolidWorks, you can do it right from there. And that's obviously going to make it more efficient to access and edit the bill of material. Since there's no additional windows or applications that you need to launch, it's right inside SolidWorks that you use all day, every day anyway. And you could even search for a component, whether it be a CAD part or component, or even a non-CAD part, like grease or lubricants, but it can even be a document that's related to that assembly that you have. And then you can add that directly to the assembly with SolidWorks, or you can even add it inside the BOM in Team Center, and you'll see that in action. And so this is obviously a lot more efficient and time-saving. So there's less rework and fewer excess tasks, and obviously reduce the risk for error to manage your BOM. Let's take a look at this. All right, so picking up where we left off, so you had gone through and opened up the assembly of specific configuration, and that's exactly how it would open up inside SolidWorks. Well, now as part of this change process, a couple edits that you need to come through and make. So once again, directly on the change can be that information. So here's all the new parts you're adding. One of them is to add a battery pack. You can drag that right inside the user interface, so drag it right from Team Center into SolidWorks. That'll come through and open it up. Now, for part of the demo, you would need to mate the components. So we'll start mating it, show a couple steps, but then just quickly step forward. I don't think you want to watch people make CAD components together. You know how to do that. SolidWorks does that very well. So nothing's different about that. Another task is to add this the screws to the drill housing. And so once again, you just drag that component right inside the SolidWorks window. And you've got to put some fasteners on there to show that the housing can be fastened together. And so once again, just for the purpose of a demo, we'll quickly step forward ahead, and there's those fasteners have been mated. Now, what about non-CAD components? So in this example, you want to add some Loctite on there. Well, you can do this right inside Team Center. So here's your bill of material from the SolidWorks assembly tree. You can right-click and say, show me that in Team Center. That takes you directly to that bill of material, and then here's you can make those necessary modifications. And so in this case, you're going to go through and add that Loctite and come through and tell Team Center, add that to my bill of material. So no CAD data need to be created to represent that Loctite in there. And then the final part of this is you're going to go update the drawing. And so you're going to add a bond table to that drawing. I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself from where we're at on the demo. All right, there's that drawing. So you're going to go add a bond table to the drawing. And one cool thing about this is you can use the Team Center information to display information on there. So you're going to use something called a find number, which is going to show almost like a balloon for those first level components in the assembly. And that's leveraged from the bond attribute mapping, or I should say just the attribute mapping with Team Center. And you'll see from the drop down here, you have control of some of the different properties you want to use for those column types. So you can use Team Center information to drive that information on your drawing. You don't have to retype and recreate all this information. So that ability to control your assemblies, fully control those assemblies, I should say, you've got tons of control in Team Center, that valuable asset that any SolidWorks designer can benefit from. Let's look at another area, easily find, share, and reuse. Now, we talked earlier about that wasted time searching for designs. That was one of those 5 things that we talked about at the beginning. Well, if you're trying to search for files with SolidWorks data management, sometimes it feels clunky and cumbersome. You got to open some new windows. The data is not easily filtered on the fly. And a lot of times what we see as SolidWorks users is they open up a second Windows Explorer client just for searching. Now, with Team Center, though, we make it a lot easier to search and find and share and reuse your SolidWorks data because Team Center is right inside SolidWorks. So you don't have to launch a separate system or add more processing to the steps and launch a bunch of different windows. So Team Center search capabilities right inside SolidWorks brings that speed and simplicity to searching. So if you know how to use Google or whatever your favorite search engine, you can search in Team Center. And if you've ever bought anything from an e-commerce site, you've filtered, like maybe you're looking for a television, you want to filter the different TV sizes, you can search in Team Center. It's just like your favorite search engine in your e-commerce site. So it's that modern web browser experience. You can filter and you can even save some of your searches. You can pin them to home so you can restore them later on. All sorts of capabilities. Now, further with Team Center, you can view and mark up design documents. So those can be created from not only SolidWorks, but a variety of MCAD tools. So this workflow of viewing and creating markups directly in Team Center mitigates the need to fully open your SolidWorks model or even your drawing. You can do the drawing in Team Center as well to put a markup on it or a comment or maybe even to start a change process. You can do that all inside Team Center. And Team Center also gives you that more efficient time-saving option of opening files from any CAD source right inside SolidWorks. And that's whether it's reviewing or for markup purposes. And then if you decide to, you get that choice if you want to save it as a SolidWorks file going forward or even as that industry standard, that CAD neutral JT format. So those are some of the benefits there. And so Team Center is also fast and efficient in updating those assemblies. And you'll see that in the demo here. And of course, you can find, view, and print designs very easily. All right, well, let's pick up where we left off in that demo. So you've just created the title block there, or not the title block, the part chart there. And so now it's time to save back into Team Center. And so you'll see all the components that have been modified. And with just a click of a mouse, you can easily revise all those, bump the revision on them, and come through and save those into Team Center. Now, on the Team Center side, if you were to look at that Loctite component and do a where used, because you want to know where is this Loctite used within an organization, you can see, let me pause this here, it's used in Rev A, and it's also used in Rev B. There's that Rev B that you just saved in. And so opening up that bill of material, so it's also going to open up the JT files. There's the drill with that updated toggle switch, that updated torque selector. You go look at the bill of material itself that's stored in Team Center. And you'll see not only battery pack that you added, but also when you expand into the bottom there. There's expand, there's that Loctite component, and there's those the screws that you added. So that full bill of material is available to you. So now, since you've completed the change process, you can come in there and let people know, I'm done with the change, time for review. And now that person that's reviewing the change has all the information that they need to understand exactly what took place with the change. Well, now let's look at another example. So you're done with a change. So you've updated the drill, you've added the battery pack, you added those screws, you changed that toggle switch and the torque selector. But there's somebody else at your company who happens to be working on that same design. They're working on something else, but they've got that assembly open. So when they're in session assembly. Now they're going to get notified. You can see up here, there's out-of-date models detected within that active model. Now we know there's out-of-date models because we just updated the assembly. You just saw it. But this designer is going to automatically get notified that they have out-of-date models. And so with just a couple clicks, they can easily update that particular assembly. So in this example here, you're going to go through and update your model. And just like before, you get control over how you want that model loaded. So you're going to change from a latest working to maybe a latest by creation date. And when you go through and apply that, you'll get a preview that says, here's what it's going to go do. Here are the components that it's going to go add. And we scroll to the top here to see all those components. You'll see that most of those are Rev B. And of course, we know that because you modified those things just a couple minutes ago. So now this designer is going to be able to update their design. And here, once that uploads, you'll see the drill is going to look like exactly how it should. They now have the most current information inside their assembly. So it's very easy to get notified and then update your models as other users are working inside the system. All right, so we've looked at 4 different areas. Integrated change, managing those configurations, telling Team Center how you want to view that bill of material, and then opening that up inside SolidWorks. The BOM management, from being able to view the entire BOM inside Team Center, also add those non-components. The ability to easily find and share components within Team Center from a reuse standpoint. Well, now let's look at what about cross-domain teams? So now you're a SolidWorks designer, but you need to interact with maybe some electronic designers or even electrical or software. Similar concept applies. So you've seen why Team Center is good for SolidWorks designers. Well, let's look at the value of across your business. So expanding beyond just that mechanical domain, what can it do for some of those other domains that you need to interact with? Now, with the growth of smart connected products, so there's a need for managing both the MCAD and that ECAD data. And with the existing tool you might be using to manage SolidWorks, managing that electrical CAD, it can be a challenge. So with no integration in the most common ECAD products, you probably need to resort to a disconnected process for managing that mechanical CAD and that electronic CAD data. Team Center, though, offers an integration to all the major ECAD tools, and I'll show you a screenshot with all those tools that we support. And so similar to what you've already seen with SolidWorks, same with the MCAD tools as well. So this creates a connected network between your design teams that allows seamless collaboration across not only mechanical, but mechanical and electrical domains. So in addition to a fully connected design team, Team Center allows for that integration of the BOM that can contain mechanical and electrical and electronic and even software to give you that true final top-level bill of material. Now, for this demo, we'll look at a demo here. We're going to use SolidWorks and Altium. So that's a typical combination that we see. A lot of times we see SolidWorks users have Altium, and where we see Altium users, we typically see SolidWorks. But similar concept applies regardless of the mechanical and the electronic system that you're using. All right, so in this demo, you're an Altium user. And just like we do for SolidWorks, we brought Team Center inside SolidWorks. Same thing we do for, in this case, Altium. We bring Team Center inside that environment. So right from inside Altium, this designer, you as a designer can come through and save your design into Team Center. So you can save your printed circuit assembly, which is going to give you the bill of material. You can even have it create all the manufacturable components like the Gerber file and the ODD Plus and so forth. Now, from an exchange standpoint, you typically see that the IDF or the IDX is a common exchange format that users use across mechanical and electronic system. Same thing here. And SolidWorks has this circuit work, so you can come through and open up that exchange file and get a view for what that thing looks like. And in this case, there's the board design. And then with a click of a button, you can have SolidWorks build those parts. And so now you have that board loaded in a 3D fashion inside SolidWorks. And what you're going to do is add that electronic, in this case the PC board, to that drill. So in essence, combine those bill of materials together. Now, you probably do sharing like this today, but Team Center can help manage with that exchange as well. But also the big benefit is bringing those multiple domains together. So you can see as you drag that board in there, and we'll kind of step ahead to where we position that. and then ultimately save that into Team Center. So we can bring those multiple domains together into a single bill of material, and you're going to see that in a second here. And so by bringing the mechanical and the electronic, and we didn't show electrical or software, but we can bring those in there to, as well. So now you have BOM management of the data, revision management of the data. I'll pause this when we get to the BOM there. And control over each BOM line there. So here in Team Center, once you save that assembly into there, you have, there's that printed circuit assembly. So within this hand drill, you just combine and are now managing the mechanical and electronic together in a single common bill of material, which you're going to be at all sorts of things. There's fit and finish, take sections through their measurements, as well as just managing that single common bill of material and having that revision control and knowing that it's this revision of the board that goes with this revision of the product. And you can see at the end from a visualization format, there's that board, that same board that you saw inside SolidWorks. You now have a CAD neutral representation inside Team Center. So anybody with access to Team Center and access to this bill of material can view and understand what this assembly looks like. And so if you think about that and you combine that with the change management, you can have that single change process that lets you perform a where used. You can perform a where used to see where that product is used across your entire company. And then you can kick off a change and know exactly what is affected by it. So it's this mechanical information, it's this electrical information, it's this electronic information, it's this software information that's impacted by this change, and automatically notify those users, here's what we need to go do. And so don't forget there, this was just showing SolidWorks and Altium. But what if your product was designed in multiple CAD systems or multiple electronic systems or both? So how would you manage all that? Well, most systems out there, like I mentioned, they only manage their own data. Well, with Team Center, we can manage the data regardless of the system it came from and then bring it all together into that common bill of material. So it's not just about managing the exchange, it's all the other information as well. I think I'm going backwards instead of forward. All right, there we go. All right, so I mentioned it was any major electrical, electronic, and CAD system. So in addition to SolidWorks, we're integrated with all these major systems that you see listed on the screen here. So like I mentioned, you could have a BOM with components designed in each one of these tools. And then Team Center can manage all that data and bring them together in that single common bill of materials. And so like I said, we also bring that right inside the design environment. So you're already comfortable with the system you're using, for example, SolidWorks. We're bringing Team Center right into there, so you get all the benefits that we've been discussing, but you're using the same tool you already know how to use. We've looked at some of the benefits of using Team Center for SolidWorks. We've looked at some of the benefits of using Team Center for cross-domain collaboration. What about other people in the company? What about consumers of this data or management or people on the shop floor? What benefit do they get out of it? So let's talk about why Team Center is good for others in your business as well. So we showed you how easy it is to access Team Center inside SolidWorks. But unlike your workgroup PDM system, you can share your SolidWorks designs with non-SolidWorks users. And that's by leveraging that JT file, that CAD neutral file format. So you don't need access to the CAD system. You don't need a license to the CAD system. You don't even need how to use the CAD system. And you don't even have to care where it came from. You don't know where that CAD design necessarily came from, and you can find out, but it doesn't matter. You're able to visualize it and view and understand, does it meet your needs for what it is that you need to make a decision on? So people across your business can view those designs regardless of the CAD system it came from. And they can interrogate them. They can sections and markups, use them for design reviews and for change processes. The Team Center, the access to Team Center, in essence, it's a web-based application, which means people can use Team Center anytime, anywhere, any smart device, desktop, laptop, tablet, phone, doesn't matter. So we don't need to come through and interrupt you for access. We're not going to be tapping you on the shoulder. Hey, can you give me a measurement through that, from the edge of that part into the center of that hole? You don't have to worry about that anymore. They can come through and get that information and be assured they're getting the right information inside Team Center. And like I mentioned, that familiar shopping cart-like filtering and Google-like type search, whatever your favorite search engine is, whatever your favorite e-commerce site, you'll see those similarities inside Team Center. Very easy to use. Well, let's take a look at that. So here's an example. This is Team Center. This is Team Center inside a web browser. It looks just like Team Center you saw inside SolidWorks because it's the same exact information, the same exact underlying look and feel and code and so forth. So in this example, you could be anybody. You could be a CAD designer, be an engineer, somebody in manufacturing, purchasing, somebody in marketing, somebody in sales, somebody out on the plant floor, anybody who needs to come through and view and interact with this data. As long as they have permission to view it, because Team Center is very secure, they can come through and view this. So in this example, you're going to come through and perform a search, and there's that Google-like search box. You can plug in what you know, and you'll get suggestive searches along the way. So as you start typing things, Team Center will suggest, hey, is this what you're looking for? Is this what you're looking for? Once you've searched your results, you'll see how you can graphically filter them with these on-screen filters, but you can also use an e-commerce-like filtering. So over on the left-hand side, that looks very similar to what I mentioned, filtering by TV size. So how many HDMI ports and what's the size of the screen and so forth. All right. Now, in this example, you search for something. You ultimately want to search for a motor. We're narrowing down your search with different attributes and different properties. To purchase component, it's some sort of a motor from a part class that we have. Once you've found a result, you can select it to view information, but maybe there's several results. You're not sure maybe which one you want to go with. You can compare results as well. And you can compare it by different properties that can help you understand, oh yeah, this is the one that you're looking for. Now, once you've found a component of interest, there's that JT file in action. So regardless of the CAD system it was created from, you can do some visualization of that particular component. And then with one click of the mouse or one tap on the screen, you have access to all the related information. So you didn't just have to find something and then go find all the stuff that's related to it. Team Center is giving it to you automatically. So you found that particular component, you found attachments and documents that are related to it. You're able to view the history, all the other revisions that are out there for this component. Now you're graphically looking at how one component is related to another. And then here, with one click of the mouse, you're able to see, well, where's that used? So this side motor light duty, where's that used in our company? So maybe there's an issue with this motor. Maybe it overheats, and you now want to go through a change process to resolve it. Well, what's the impact across the company? How many different bill of materials need to be updated? We use this in one product, we use this in 5 products. Where is it? So just like I said, with one click of the mouse, it says, well, here's all the parents to that. So here's all the immediate parents. But then here's all the top-level end items. So you can see that this motor is used in this master mover. It's also used, maybe these are some service, maybe there's a frame assembly from a service standpoint and a support mechanism. Those could be service assemblies that you use or repair kits. So here's all the things that are impacted by it. And that goes across multiple domains as well. This could have been a capacitor, and this capacitor says, well, somewhere in that master mover, this capacitor is being used. So now you have that trail all the way through across your entire company of what that change impact is going to be with one click of the mouse. Now, these are actionable too. So you can open up that master mover assembly and take a look at that component, or in this case, the bill of material, I should say. There's that bill of material, and you can interact with the bill of material, collapse and expand, search through it, define various components. In this example, you're going to go look at the history of that master mover. So there's 2 revisions of that master mover, Rev A and Rev B. You can see when those previous ones were created and who owns it. You can even compare them because you want to know, what does Rev A and Rev B look like? So now from Rev A to Rev B, you can see the differences for what took place. And in this example, there's a battery pack and some upper cowling that was added to Rev B that isn't there inside Rev A. So once again, click of the mouse gives you all that information once you found that info. And then leveraging the power of the JT file, you can visualize all those various components. So now here's that bill of material that you can easily interact with. Not only pan, zoom, and rotate, but as you pick a component on the screen, it'll say, here's that component inside the bill of material. And you can go the other way. You can pick something in the bill of material, it'll highlight on the screen because maybe you don't know what that part number is, or maybe you do know what the part number is. Further measurements and sections, you can cut a section through here. And as it's cutting this section, remember, this could be multiple CAD systems, not just SolidWorks. This could be part of this was designed in SolidWorks, part of it was designed in NX, part of it was designed in CATIA. You can all bring that together in a common bill of material. And earlier we were going through the demo with the change process. Here's in essence what a change will look like that's been further along in the process. So you have access to those markups. You can see a drawing that somebody marked up that maybe indicates the change that needs to be done. And then with just a click of a button, you have all the information related to that change. So here's the change notice. Here's the information capturing. Here's what we're going to do with the change. And then as it goes through the workflow process and various people interact with it, it can capture those comments that they left. You can see where it's at in their overall review and approve process. And then I mentioned those different sections that we use to capture that information about the change. So somewhere down the road, like now, we're looking at this change. we can easily understand what was done. So it was this clamp, this Rev A that was obsoleted, and it was replaced with Rev B. It's very clear. We can easily see that, and we can open up those components and take a look at it. So it's very easy to come through and document that change with the information that's directly tied to Team Center. And then obviously you can come through and sign off on it. Same stuff we did inside SolidWorks. This is what a user inside Team Center, how it would look for them. All right, well, we've talked quite a bit, and hopefully you've seen why Team Center is the best PDM for SolidWorks. And of course, we invite you to learn more about Team Center, including options for fast deployment on premise or even in the cloud. And so whether you have 1 user or 5 users or 15 or 500 SolidWorks designers, doesn't matter. There's a Team Center solution that fits your business and budget. And not only your business and budget today, but that can also grow with you in the future as not only maybe your users increase, but also your business gets into different areas and increases some of the capabilities that they offer. So you can deploy Team Center quickly for a fast return on investment with minimal IT. And best of all, like I said, Team Center can grow with you from PDM to PLM as your business grows. Meet your needs today, meet your needs tomorrow. So with that, I want to thank you for attending the webinar. We'll open it up to questions in just a second, but if you want to learn more information, you can go to this website, Siemens.com, Team Center for SolidWorks. Looks like a long word there, but it's Team Center for SolidWorks. And so with that, I'd like to hand it off to Joy to see if we've had any questions come in.
And with that, this officially concludes today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a good rest of your day.